This episode of Super Pulp Science is brought to you by Ollie and the Missing Who's, now available at chasingartwork.com.
Attention, citizens. It's time for Super Pulp Science.
This is Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre it gets made. Guys, tough few weeks for Canadian publishing.
Yeah.
That's producer Dan saying, yeah.
Sorry.
That's Justin, our long-suffering co-host, shuffling
Not it.
papers. Not it. So, cheesing a few weeks back, farted and collapsed. Bedside Press and its owner, Hope Nicholson, also shut down under allegations of sexual misconduct. Allegations, I think, is the underlined thing here, but there's a number of stories circulating. So, if you're a creative person in Canada and you're thinking, I have some books that are representative of a unheard voice, a marginalized voice, maybe non-commercial but artistic, still has artistic integrity. Where do you go now?
Renegade
Arts, yeah. We've been shouting about them for a while. Renegade Arts Entertainment, for
At
sure.
Bay?
At Bay Press has got some interesting stuff coming out.
Portage Domain Press
Portage Domain.
Highwater Press for their Indigenous
Their imprint,
pieces.
yeah. Who else? There's a few. Well, I mean, Z2 Comics is they're in the United States, but I had a great working experience with them, and I would highly encourage any creators that have books that have a musical connection.
That's who did Baby Metal.
That's who did the Baby Metal book. They also publish other graphic novels, but they're doubling down for sure on projects that they can link to other activated fan bases, like music fan bases. It's been a really good synthesis for them. So like the stuff they did with Poppy and the stuff they did with Baby Metal and the stuff they're doing with Grateful Dead and the stuff they're doing with 2 or 3 projects that I don't think I'm supposed to name yet because it was just casual conversation, but not an announcement. But really exciting stuff, right?
Yeah,
really exciting stuff.
That's a good strategy, I think, to try and tap into a different fan base like that. It is similar to the way the Stranger Things and the what's the name of the
Printed in Blood?
Printed in Blood.
Yeah,
They're doing with they're tapping very
They
specific
have some
fan
new
bases.
stuff coming down the pipe. Alterna, I've never done any work with or for. In full disclosure, I heard some rumors that I never was substantiated that perhaps they were in support
days,
of or connected to the Comicsgate movement. So if that is completely an error, I apologize, but that is what has caused me to steer kind of clear of them. That, and I'm busy, so I haven't really been checking it out.
How about Ad Astra Comics? Do you know what that is? I'm just looking at a list here.
You're looking at a list. Give us a list.
Canadian comics publishers. Ad Astra Comics. I don't know. Publisher specializing in comic books with social justice themes. We are currently on a tour across North America. Yeah, that's about it. What do they have here?
Oh my God, Great Plains Publishing.
Yeah.
I'm a terrible person. I have a new book coming out from Great Plains Publishing, Automatic Age. They've been a really great to work with also. Small press is not it doesn't have a huge back catalog of science fiction, fantasy, or anything like that, but they are actively seeking out submissions and trying to grow that list. I know they just attended the conference in Germany about selling foreign rights to a number of their projects, so they are definitely under Mel's leadership on to bigger and better things in the next few years, so I would highly recommend that. Yeah, it's a tough thing if you're making things, but I think an important thing to remember is you don't make it to send to other people, right? You make it for yourself first. And so just because Canadian publishing is on fire right now doesn't mean you can't use that fire inside yourself.
Two examples of clearly, and there's a big list here of different publishers. Clearly, there's a lot of publishers out there, so this is not like the norm in Canadian publishing for this bad behavior to be the case.
Right.
So.
And I mean, we're just not naming the bigs. Like, you can still send your HarperCollins and your Scholastics Canadas and all of those kinds of things. But if you're a mid-lister or a mid-level or a starting out, you probably don't have an agent that can reach those people right now. Mm-hmm. So those mid-tier publishers are a great step for your career and for your confidence and for your, not always for your pocketbook, but it's that step forward, right? Mm-hmm. So let's leave the wreckage of that world behind. And I want to ask you, Justin, if I can, about designing a fleet of spaceships.
Yeah, I think I can. I'm not sure how much I can share about it yet.
Okay.
But I am working with a board game publisher on a space-themed game. We're still in pretty early stages. And what this company's done in the past is they design the game, they get some artwork, they hit Kickstarter, and that was their distribution model. So I'm on board at the early stages before Kickstarter. So I think probably once they start getting more artwork and more of their plan for the Kickstarter figured out, then I'll be encouraged to share it, because that was something that we talked about in the planning stages. Was they wanted me to share my work in progress as well to kind of help build the hype.
Sure.
But need to get everything approved that it's ready to talk about before.
It has to be finished designs before you can share about them?
No, I think we're going to show some work in progress stuff as well.
Actually, this uncovers something right now. So at the beginning of this, I said, can you talk about it? I mentioned projects I shouldn't mention. And I've listened to a lot of podcasts like this, seen interviews like this, where people say things like that. And if you're outside of the industry a little bit, or you're new to it, maybe you don't know why you're not supposed to. Maybe we should talk a little bit about why it is that people put the brakes on, and how it is that you have more information than you're allowed to share, and how you meter that information. We'll go back to the halcyon days of you working on, say, like the DuckTales game.
Yeah.
As soon as that landed, you guys had NDAs, I assume, about Disney products.
Yeah.
That you weren't supposed to talk about it, right? So that was a legal reason why we're not supposed to talk about Uncle Scrooge and his adventures.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, I guess he's not in DuckTales. Who's in?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is. Oh,
What am I thinking of? Oh, I'm thinking of Tailspin. Different. Oh.
Very different.
Different
very
tail.
Different. Yeah,
different
very
tail.
different.
So what's
Air
like
pirates.
the downside? Like, just thinking off the bat, like if I were starting to, when the project is still in its infancy and I start putting a bunch of stuff out there before the overall idea has solidified, then I think it's kind of making the water murky of like what this project is. Before it's all figured out, if you start oversharing, it's almost confusing because you don't know what it is yet.
Well, and then people will see that stuff and they'll get it in their mind. This is what this is going to look like.
Yeah.
And then it turns out to be something completely different.
And then they might be disappointed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think one example of that is the Sonic redesign that we saw. They clearly did not hit the mark the first time around. They nobody liked that design of Sonic that first time, and so they say it's admirable that they actually took people's opinions into account and they actually changed it.
Whose fault do you think that was?
I don't know.
But wait, in this specific example, they shared
a trailer for Sonic,
and it was good that they got negative reaction.
Oh yeah,
in a way, because then they were able to pivot more towards it's a video game franchise movie. It should service fans.
Okay, but the same thing happened with both Venom and the Ninja Turtles. When the designs were shown for the first time, everybody was like, why did the Ninja Turtles have big noses and look like that? Why don't they make them look like the
cartoons?
Yeah, or the other live actions. And so there was all these paint-overs on the internet, and the paint-overs did look a lot better.
I love the way the bin stands, like an immovable fortress. The way the dollar sign glints with the morning dew. The way the bulldozers plow up the land. Bulldozers!
Did you sign an NDA with this game company?
I did not, but
you didn't.
I really like working with them.
This is what I want to talk about. I also am working with a company, possibly partnering with a company to do a Kickstarter related to World War Weird role-playing game.
Cool.
I'm also not going to give the details of who that is or why that is or whatnot. So one of the things that I think is important is that it's okay to admit the direction you're going to. I think it's safe to say when you're excited about something. But if you don't have the details, you'll end up projecting what you want too soon into a relationship that's not fully formed, and then be on the record for it.
Yeah.
And that is maybe a dangerous position to be in.
Depending on many companies do have NDAs. I'm sure you had NDAs with Marvel with that stuff. And I remember you saying, I'm doing concept art for a film, but I can't talk about couldn't even say which movie it was until the movie came out, right? That was kind of part of your NDA, and that's because they don't want anything.
And that might have been just me too being overly careful. I don't recall exactly like what the NDA said, but I just didn't want to.
As soon as those words non-disclosure agreement are
you want to be safe and sorry.
Careful. Yeah. And what the non-disclosure usually includes is you can't talk about your contract or the terms of those contract openly. You often can't name the employer of that contract, like who the subsidiary companies are. You're not supposed to, right? You're not supposed to speak negatively about it, and you're not supposed to go on record talking about a project before certain release dates come forward.
Yeah, if you had talked about your concept art or released early images of your concept art, that would have been a huge spoiler for the movies that we were part of. So that's something you can't do.
And it also takes the momentum out of a marketing team that's trying to put that stuff together to release it in a certain way on a certain schedule.
Ant-Man and Wasp, I knew about the villain before it was released what the villain was.
In fact, we played a fun game. I mean, the movie's out now, so right. We played a fun game off air and not on social media anywhere, where I guessed who the villains were.
Just based on your knowledge of Marvel Comics?
Just based on my knowledge of Marvel and the code names for the characters that were supposed to keep them hidden. I was like, oh my God, come on, guys. Right?
Was that character from the comics? I don't even know.
Yeah, but not anything like that. Ghost was, very much redesigned.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Same powers, like phasing through things, but it was, didn't look anything like her.
Cool.
And it just came down to my knowledge of too many Iron Man comics, and then knowing that the Iron Man and the Ant-Man mythologies were mixed, and if you're going to mix that and you need an espionage character, well, then you're going to use
Okay, interesting. Right? Did you guess correctly?
Okay. I slam dunk that shit, right? So if you're on if you have one of those scoop websites, you should hire me and give me the clues, and then I'll put it all together for you. Now, it's funny because we made these jokes about hanging the curtain around your desk, the NDA curtain, like a shower curtain, and he'd just pull it closed and it would have NDA on it, right? When he was working on stuff that we weren't allowed to share. And Justin was very respectful of the NDAs he had signed. He was very like, no, I'm not really supposed to talk about this or show this or whatever. So this was just the breadcrumbs that were already out that I was drawing conclusions around. So I guess this is one of the dangers of putting out stuff that you think is hidden. People also vague tweet or vague book, and then everyone knows what they're talking about. There's
benefits to it as well. Like I'm just thinking for myself, like with the new book that has been postponed a little bit, The Dragon Nanny.
Right.
Like the fact that I posted the first couple completed pieces of artwork up there kind of got people talking about it and has kind of solidified for me that I need to do it now because I've told people about it. Right. So it's kind of like holding me responsible. And if I didn't share that and just kind of sat on it, it'd be much easier to let it slide. Lie dormant.
Okay, so that's made of two different things. So one of the things we're talking about is not sharing too often when there's people on the team that might be affected, who you're in a way speaking for. You want to avoid doing that. But if it's just you and you're the master of your own ship, you're a freelancer and you have your own creative stuff, sometimes, as you say, announcing it keeps you to your own schedule. It can be really hard to keep your own schedule when you're creating your own content.
Yeah. Especially when you're not getting any feedback, right? Like if you're just working on that alone in your room, nobody's getting excited about it because nobody knows.
And Arena City, again, I have a not an NDA, but a gentleman's agreement,
well, gentleman's agreement is the
I know it's the old term, but it's too old. And I mean, like, ladies make promises and they keep them more often. What's the real, right? Anyway, I have a gentleman's agreement with the people at the company not to mention too much about the company until the official launch. But I have a graphic novel that is, one of my most bombastic pieces of work that I've finished in the last year that I basically haven't shared too much about, haven't talked about, because that date is a moving target when the actual release will be. And so if I talk too much about it, they just said, like, you can say that you're working on a book, you can name your own book, you can talk about the themes in your own book. I signed a contract for when those releases might be, and there was a little clause in there saying that they can change those dates as necessary, and that the way that they, here's the other side of it, dear listener. This company in particular has paid all their invoices, right?
Okay.
They have bought my silence by completely living up to all their sides of the bargain. So I am fully confident that the book will come out the way that they have said it will come out, because they have paid for its development all along the way. So to only do that so that it can collapse seems problematic about it. Like, I have faith that it's all going to happen. So it's easy to be vague about it and be kind of excited and like hold back.
It's also kind of fun to keep a secret.
Secrets are the heart of cool, as William Gibson says. But a secret is only cool once you find out about it.
Okay.
Right? After a while, a secret is a lie. A secret that you don't find out about is a lie that people, right, told you. Essentially. Right? That's the stuff it's made of, right? It's only a secret. We use the word secret to be like kind of playful, to be like, oh, I know something you don't know, but eventually I'll tell you. And then you use it to create this like inner circle of people who also know the secret.
Yes.
Right? There's nothing more thrilling than to be on the inside of a film development where I am now, that I'm in the secret room where there's all this potential energy for all this cool stuff that could happen, and there's only a few of us who know the full secret. And that's amazing. But then you're just the jerk who's like, I know something.
Well, you don't do that, though. You're not. That's not the fun part of keeping a secret, I think, is the fun part is talking to the other people who know the same secret.
I guess that's true.
Right? But you don't. I'm not the one to taunt people and to.
So why don't we just not say it? What's wrong with us? That's what I feel. I feel like you just can't help it. You want to be proud of something, and so it bubbles to the surface, and you say like, oh, I'm talking to a company, but I can't name who they are. Right? Which is what I did earlier in the podcast.
It's because it's top of mind for you, because it's something you're working on right now. So you want to talk about it. Your natural inclination is just to talk about what's on your mind, but you can't.
Yeah. It's killing
So it's not intentional that you're not intentionally trying to tease us with whatever it is you're talking about. I don't really care, to be honest. I'm not gonna.
Perfect. Excellent.
Oh, I got exciting news! Can't it wait till Ducks of Our Lives is over?
But let's say you're someone who, let's say this. The landscape of social media, I have been observing myself and reading tangentially, is definitely changing. There used to be a time where you would share all the process. People would come along for the ride. You could get a huge following by just honestly sharing who you were and what you were doing. And those platforms have now become commodified, ad-based, ad-supported platforms. I'm looking at you, Instagram. It used to be like the Wild West, where if your stuff was good and you hustled, you could get a huge following. Now you pay for that following. OG guys like Justin, who are in there early, have a organically generated fan base. If I want the same fan base as Justin now, I could have it tomorrow, but I'd have to pay.
And I don't think it would be as genuine.
Oh God, no.
It's, even though you can pay to boost your posts and to get it in front of more people, and people will like your stuff based on that because they're seeing it in their feed. The more genuine follower is the one who finds you themselves and discovers you however they discover you, and they're the ones who are more interactive and more engaged with your content.
Right.
So yeah, paying to boost, I'm not a fan of that, and I've been I've hate like Facebook is the villain here. Because they own Instagram and they've been doing that with their own stuff as well. Twitter's is just as bad.
And okay, so as long as we're talking about information warfare right now and attention warfare, basically, you have a product, you have a thing, you want to share about it, you've created something, you want to send it places. There's not as many publishers as there used to be, but maybe there's the internet. No, that's also a terrible wasteland of ad buys and falsity. What then? You just have to go inward again, I guess, and just work on the work, and just that's enough.
I guess.
That's what I'm wondering. Is that
You're the one? You have more experience in this than I do. I don't know.
And maybe I'm just like needing to talk about it out loud here. Maybe that's what I'm doing.
So you're talking about self-publishing? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, no, not necessarily, but just accepting that making the work and promoting the work are two separate jobs. They used to be very intertwined. Like you used to be able to, and it, used to. I'm setting up as if it's binary. There are still areas where you can share the process along the way and in an honest way and get some good feedback. But increasingly, that's not a marketing strategy. It used to be a great accidental marketing. You could build this huge, million-person Twitter following that was just following what you had for lunch, and then you were like, oh yeah, and by the way, my book is finally out. And then people who had followed you your whole year, investing in your life, as it were, maybe checked it out. But now everyone wants your attention.
Yeah, no, there's too much.
Like back before, you would do all that advertising after the book was done. Nobody would know about it. The book was published, and then you'd start your ad campaign.
Right.
Like, this book
Yeah,
is
leading
about
up
this.
to whatever threshold season it was, you would advertise for it. And book advertising is slim to none in general. Why is that? We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Wanting to take a percentage of our print budget, print less books, and promote the book more. You teach a social media class?
Not anymore.
Oh.
It was cut.
Ouch. Okay, not the person to ask.
No. I'm not bitter. It was what I feel is that I think that would be a good idea if you guys did that.
But where would you buy those ads? Where?
Well,
would you
I still think there is something to be said for the traditional advertising that we see out of home, like the billboards and the buses and the benches and that kind of stuff. That is still very visible, and people do notice that kind of thing. And if you do something creative there's an opportunity to grab some eyeballs. The one that definitely would advise against is television. That's the traditional. None of us watch TV ads anymore.
That's true.
And same with even radio is a pretty quickly not dying, but it's not as valid as it once was with the advent of streaming services and podcasting.
There's this drive towards content as being central in the conversation. So, for example, we'll name the mouse in the room. I got Disney Plus to watch The Mandalorian. I was surprised to discover a whole bunch of other great old nostalgic
You got
stuff.
Treasure Island paused up here.
Yeah,
No,
what
it's,
a problematic movie. P.S.
Oh, that's
Robinson.
Swiss Family Robinson. Is that what that is?
Swiss Family Robinson, yeah.
I was showing some of my watch list, and I've got like the Flight of the Navigator, and Mr. Boogedy, and all these ones from my childhood.
Right there with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
We watched Sword in the Stone with the kids,
Yeah.
Black
Great
Cauldron, right? So, but this is my point. I didn't need to see an ad for any of those things. I came for the one thing they advertised that they knew could hit me and my demographic nostalgic needs. And then simply being inside the room, I was now one of them. I looked around inside the room and found other things to engage with.
It's kind of like those art gallery ads that huge big letters, free beer.
Right.
And then underneath it's like, and there's an art show.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just
I love it.
gets people in the door, and then
Yeah. Sad.
there's cool stuff here.
Sad. But necessary? Question mark? High inflection in my voice? Because it's a
I
question.
want to see how you can get. Yeah, it's necessary.
But is it duplicitous?
No.
Like my issue with social media now is I have this kind of love-hate relationship with people who are posting often. I'm just sure, no matter how honest it seems, I'm sure there's a coupon coming.
Yeah, I get that kind of stuff all the time.
Right.
I understand what you're saying.
And I'm the coupon coming. Like I do it also.
Yeah.
Here's my book. Here's my thing. Here's my whatever. And I'm
So
exhausted.
I have,
They're exhausted. And how do we but we just want our work.
Even if you don't want that, people demand it from you.
What do you mean?
Like, I find like I post my artwork, and all I really want to do is sell it at Comic-Cons. I don't really want to have an online store and having like to mail things out. Like I don't enjoy that part, but I'm constantly getting messages about like, can you put this up on the store? Can you make this book available there? Can you we want you to like
please take our money. It's not a bad problem to have.
But like, which is great, and I'm super thankful. But it's just kind of the way the game is now. It's the landscape of what we do. You have to have that online store, and you have to do the online presence. Like,
so I'm where my conflict comes in this scenario is that when anyone says to me, you have to do it this way, it's the way it's done.
Oh, no.
There's a part of me that immediately is like, fuck you.
No, but it's not. It's not the way it's done. There is no way it's done anymore.
That's what I'm
whatever works.
But at the core is the work.
Yeah.
Right.
The content is king, as they say. Justin, you post your stuff all year round. Whenever you're working on, you just happen to post it. You post on work in progress or finished pieces, that kind of stuff. And that gets people excited. I know that you get requests for online stuff, but you got to think that gets your followers excited to come see you at the next show to buy that piece.
And I'm excited about that too. It's just I've noticed in the last like year or two how more and more of my attention needs to be like curating that online sales and stores and stuff like that. And it's more of a priority than I ever thought it would be.
Okay.
So now you self-impose that priority. Like, so for example, on your Instagram?
No. Like it's a reaction.
Oh.
Like if it was up to me, I wouldn't do it. I don't think.
But
because of all the demand, it's like, okay, well, I need to be doing this because this is what people want.
Okay, so before anyone who is listening gets angry at Justin because all they've ever wanted is for people to be reaching out that way.
I don't mean to sound ungrateful. I'm just
humble brag.
Yeah.
No, so I'll characterize it this way. You have more than 18,000 people on your Instagram alone who regularly check, and it's like in the thousands, like the engagement on your individual posts. I'm just looking right now, right? This is literally at my fingertips. So, thousands of people engage with each of your posts. You have 18,000 people on any given day who can look at them. I have like maybe 2,000 people that engage with my work in that same way. But even I get requests that feel like time sucks, that feel like interruptions, that feel like, and is that just what you have to accept as part of your job? If you're a teacher, you got to do marking.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just part of your job. If you're a police officer, you have to do domestic violence calls, right? Like you don't want to do it. That's not why you became a police officer. But it is a necessary part of the job. I'm not equating the two things as being of equal validity. I'm just saying that everyone has a part of their work-life balance that is the work. If you have a dog, you have to scoop up its poop at some point.
Speak for yourself.
Oiga, get over here and help us fudge these blueprints. How do you expect me to fudge without any fudge?
Like I did 18 pages of illustration for a pitch for a Keanu Reeves movie, right? I drew Keanu on jumping out of planes and shit. I never in my life would have, like, roll back 15 years. If you had told me, if I came back through time and said, Gregory, this will be a thing you have to do, there's no way. But it became a facet where I had to understand those NDAs. I had to understand the contract I had signed. I had to understand how the likeness would work. I had to understand at what point I'd be allowed to talk about it again openly on my own podcast, right? Still not allowed to mention the production company or any of that, but I can post some of the art if I want.
Is it a movie that came out or no?
No, it was a pitch. It was
okay.
a way. So I've found a facet of my job, which I've been doing increasingly over the last year, is to create, I've done it 4 or 5 times now, create pitch materials where the actor's likeness is used in comic book representations of the material so that they can send it to that actor and say, hey, do you want this cool scene to actually be you? Right?
Okay.
But what if...
Weird. Never would ever have imagined.
What would you do if that became, like, all people were wanting of you? Like, and work like that, like, you can't really share that. That's
what I mean, right?
Yeah.
I've done a ton of work that I got paid for, right? So that's great, but I don't get to be honest with my own art practice on my own social media feeds, and that's where I feel the conflict. This is partially why I guess I led the conversation to this place, right? There are all these things that you end up working on that you're not, quote unquote, allowed to talk about. And it makes it seem like your own body of work is lessening. Like the more
you're also letting people down on that social media.
Yeah.
All this work they don't get to see, so you're silent.
Yeah.
So you're obviously not working.
True.
Right?
Right. That is the expectation of people, is that, oh yeah, I haven't seen that guy's stuff in a while. I guess he's not employed anymore, or maybe he went back to his regular job, or But it's really just that I'm not allowed.
I do struggle with this in a bit when we're in kind of a quiet mode for FanQuest. Like right now, we're not really posting much because there's nothing really going on. Mm-hmm. We're starting to kind of plan stuff out for next year, but there's no I feel like we have to have something worth posting, right? It's got to be something that I try to be. What I tell my students is to not only promote your own content but promote other people's content. So we try to also promote other events happening in the city, or talk about other people. Somebody tagged us. It was the weirdest thing. Somebody tagged us this past weekend. Was the Grey Cup. You guys big football fans?
No. In fact, somebody texted me and they're like, "The Bombers won the Grey Cup," and I was like, "Wait, that was like that's weekend? Now?"
Yeah, there's a parade today.
So there's a parade today. Yeah. So anyway, but to a large portion of the city, it was a big deal. And there's a network called the Canadian Convention Network, and I have no idea who does this. They're on Facebook and Twitter and different social media accounts, and they said it's the Grey Cup today. It's Hamilton versus Winnipeg, and they put all these Hamilton cons versus all these Winnipeg cons, and they tagged us in it. So they had like their anime con versus Icon, their whatever con versus us, and all that other stuff. And so I thought it was kind of fun. So I'm like, I shared it and said, "Oh, I'll take on Hamilton." But
Halcon gives you labeled water.
I know you can't shut up about the labeled water at Halcon. But
Justin is deeply influenced by branding. I think that's what we can learn from this.
I think it's interesting that they're kind of newsjacking, like they're jumping on something that really has nothing to do with conventions. I mean, I know there's a crossover between fans of football and fans of other things, but really, like, there's no big convention news happening that weekend, so they decide to jump on board the Grey Cup train, and just promote the content that way. So. What I don't know, this is all coming down to saying you should be also promoting other people as well as yourself on social media, and that will help fill the gap.
Oh, what? I see what you're saying. Is be
because if you're not feeling like
more
you're
willing
posting
to
enough,
share other people's. It's not that I'm not feeling that I don't post enough. It's that I don't care if I'm posting enough or not, because it's not for anyone but me. Even my social media accounts, I look at probably incorrect, and like here's a measurable, quantifiable example. Justin feeds his social media regularly with content as he's working on it and it's just his works in progress. It's as honest as it gets, right? But he shares it regularly and often and with discipline. I am like, meh, right? He's got close to 20,000 people who engage regularly, and I have 2,000 people who engage regularly. There's a clear indicator of which is the right way to go if you want a social media following, right?
So unpredictable, though. It's like
but you can't control that part of it, right? All you can control is the content you put up, and as long as you've got regular content up there, there's a good chance people will engage with it in one way or another, right? Like it's like, oh, I love this or I don't love this or whatever, but at least it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. If it's viewed and shared and commented on, it's going to grow in the algorithm.
And so in this attention warfare game, you have to decide what kind of attention you want. Canadian publishing, we started with all the negative attention Canadian publishing got, right? But it actually was amazing for me because all of the people who were engaging with, either sorrowful, angry, or confused posts who were authors in the Canadian publishing scene that I didn't know about because they live in other provinces. They publish in genres that I don't spend a lot of time in that section of the bookstore. I felt more connected, right, watching this publisher collapse to the Canadian publishing scene, talking back and forth with them and like meeting them and seeing, than I have in years. So
Tragedy brings people together.
I guess so.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need more tragedy.
It's the drill sergeant thing. You guys all have somebody you can collectively hate together.
Right. Yeah.
Bond.
Yeah. But we know how Full Metal Jacket ends. That's a bad.
Yeah.
That's bad. So then, if content is king, as you profess, but it's like an age-old wisdom.
Yeah.
Right.
It's always been like that.
Then you just have to double down on what it is you are making. Know yourself why it is you're making it. In February, I'm the writer in residence. I've been asking them to say artist, but they say no, that'll confuse people. Writer in residence at the U of W for the month of February. And so I'm going to keep regular hours at the university where people can come and bring their works in progress for next step stuff. And one of the things that I often get asked, we get asked this at cons all the time, is where do I send it to? Who do I show it to? How do I promote myself? All of these things. And so I guess this is on my mind, is that I know those questions are coming. And right now, the only honest to goodness advice I can give anybody who shows up about that thing is just do the work. Make the work as good as it can be so you know that you have that. Then figure out who to send it to. And I mean, part of my reason for being invited is that I know a number of what we would call next step people, right? So if you have if you're in Winnipeg and you're producing a screenplay, a script, a comic script, a weird art show, I probably can help you with the next step, like who you should talk to for some good advice. The people that I would then seek out for advice, I can be a bit of a gatekeeper to get you to those places. And so I'm excited about that part, but none of that involves actually promoting the work itself to the larger audience. I don't have the right advice for that. If I look objectively, Justin's the one to point them at social media, but his real advice would be do it 10 years ago.
Yeah, it took years to do that.
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Well, and then...
Well, be patient would be the advice there.
Yeah, but
right?
it's too late for that.
Yeah.
Right? What's the new thing? There's going to be another thing.
Another social
Are you
media
TikTokers?
platform?
Is that...
my kids like it. I'm not a fan.
What is it?
It's kind of like a new Vine in a way.
Yeah, short videos.
Short
right?
videos, which I really liked Vine, and it was really sad to see it go. But it's not the same. And I don't know. I don't know that there's going to be another big social media platform out there. It would have to do something significantly different. Offer us like maybe when we get into the VR stuff, we'll get something.
Right.
Facebook says they're going to develop something for VR.
And I guess that's why I've always liked conventions, and we've said this a number of times on the show. It's you take the media out, it's the social aspect, right? You're actually interacting with people, places, and things.
Yeah.
In a real way.
Launchpad, put down that comic book and commence Operation Ice Tongues.
Aye, ice, Mr. McD.
Could I give you some social media advice?
Yes.
I was just looking at your social media, your Instagram.
Yes.
Instagram is and that's your main platform. Would you say is Instagram?
Facebook and Instagram are pretty much tied. I have the
Okay.
most followers on DeviantArt still,
Oh,
but I have
okay.
no idea how. Like of the
What the
40,000
engagement is.
people following me, how many of those accounts are dormant?
Yeah,
because that
that's
one's
tough
been
to
around
say.
for a long time.
I think a better indicator is how many likes you're getting and how many
Yeah.
interactions and that kind of stuff, because it shows how many people are active.
But they've taken that away now. Like I can't see likes on my Instagram
You
anymore.
can see your own likes.
I can look at the insights, but it doesn't show up as...
Yeah, but who cares?
No, but that's what I'm saying. I don't care. But so that is increasingly going to go
So
away.
what
as
I
a
would say is that, and I know I'll know. Like, do you feel anxiety about self-promotion on social media at all?
Do I feel anxiety
Yeah.
about self-promotion?
I noticed lately you've started tweeting about the podcast, like from yourself instead
Right.
of just retweeting me.
Yeah.
But you haven't done that consistently
Yeah, I'm
over
bad
the
at
last
it.
few years.
Well,
So-
again, it comes down to this idea of where I want to put my time in. It's not to do with anxiety about posting.
like, is it you don't want to be? Is it just like I don't want to be bragging about myself too much, kind of thing?
No, because
Okay.
I don't. I'll have. You don't. You shouldn't apologize for an accomplishment.
Right.
Right. You
Yeah.
can tell people about something you've accomplished, and that's fine. You shouldn't interrupt people to tell them about your accomplishment. So you can't like jump into other people's threads and be like, "Hey, I also made a book. Here it is.
Oh,
right?
really?
I consider that to be rude.
Okay, that's social. That's natural tactic. With
Yeah,
the social
unsolicited.
listening.
But some people say, like, if you have a thing, post it here, then
Yeah.
you can. No, for me, I love making content. And every hour I spend on social media is 1 hour less of writing
yeah.
a story, drawing a story, working on a role-playing game, playing a role-playing game. I love making content. So I'm not very loyal to my social media world because it's not the act of creation.
Super Pulp Science podcast. First idea, worst idea. It's episode 83. Last time you posted on your Instagram.
Oh, on my Instagram,
yeah.
I never post there. Yeah, I usually post it in my stories on my Instagram.
Well, and those are fleeting. Now that would be a good, from an algorithmic point of view. That's actually a better place to post because more people are going to see it there.
Right.
It's not dominated
So
by
one
an
of the reasons
algorithm.
why I don't post Super Bowl Science on my Instagram is because I only do a post a week or two, maybe at most. Okay. Then it would just be a grid of Super Pulp Science.
Right. Some people
logos.
like that. Some people like the aesthetic. Some people go for the overall aesthetic of their feed like that. And I'm like, I don't know about that. But one thing I would suggest, you have a book coming up very soon.
Yes.
Good Boys.
Yes.
When's it coming out again?
In the summer. I forget the exact
Oh, I thought
date.
it was sooner than that.
No.
Well, it's available for pre-order now, though, right?
It's available for pre-order, yeah.
So I don't see anything on your feed talking about Good Boys.
On my Instagram, you're right.
yeah,
There's nothing there.
Yeah, so that's something I would... Like, you would save the work in progress for then. You can't talk about it when you're
I mean, it
doing
seems
it.
obvious, dear listener, what he's saying to me, if you're an active social media person. But for me, when I started my Instagram, it was a daily practice of, here's an event that's occurring that I enjoy.
Okay.
That's how I started my Instagram.
It was in the moment. Posting
in the moment,
yeah.
posting in the moment of like a diary. I was like, hey, I don't keep a diary. Journaling is great. I'm never going to journal because I'm too busy making up things to write down things that actually happen. Maybe that's what I can use Instagram for, is this way, like a time capsule for my kids or for my family, or if like I'm suddenly hit by a bus or any of these things where you could look back and say like, oh, here's
Bit of a
life.
diary.
Yeah, a bit of a diary.
Okay.
And then I got seduced by the idea that I would post sometimes and then people would show up, a dozen or two people would show up at an event, and you'd be like, oh, the power. And so he did that more, but it didn't feel authentic. If I did it because I'm like, oh, I hope people show up, it just felt gross.
Okay.
Right? But that's just my own complicated emotions related to my own shameless self-promotion.
I have a recommendation as well while we're talking about this kind of stuff. I feel like for me, I fall like in and out of love with posting things regularly. Like there's certain months where I just like I couldn't care less and I don't want to update things. And then other months I'm like gung-ho about like engaging with the community and here's what I'm working on. And in those like bouts of in love with social media, I'll usually go into like just the notes on my phone and pre-write a bunch of like kind of throwback posts of like, I'll go through my photos and find other things that I've done and write up the post in my notes. So on those days where I feel like I just don't care, I've got something ready to go from back when I was...
So you're banking the gumption.
Bank some good feel-good posts when you're in the mood.
Right.
Because there's those days where, you know, you should be updating your fans and you just don't feel like...
Well, okay, here's the thing. The part of me that taught psychology also knows that I'm going to armchair psychoanalyze you here now. You have then... social media generates dopamine in your brain. When you engage with social media in a positive way or a negative way, either way, and dopamine is the most addictive substance that your brain knows how to metabolize. It wants it all the time. All human social interaction is based on dopamine responses. It's why when you see the person you love, you feel good, right? It's made of the same stuff.
This same conversation happens in South Park with Satan and Stan. He does a great description of it.
So now what I can see is that you have months where you get lots of dopamine from other sources, and you see social media for the drain that it actually is. And other times, right, you're well fortified or really excited, and so you're putting into it.
More like it's part of the job, and I'm really into it sometimes, and so
Right.
less about like getting something selfishly for it, and it's it's a responsibility and it's part of my job.
But does it coincide with like going on con tours and stuff like that? Like,
Yeah, I'm way more active on social media around con season.
And
for
I
sure.
quiet down because
See, that's
I'm
because you're
putting
getting
my
that in person. You're getting that dopamine hit in person. When people say in person, I
or
love
I
your
think
art.
it's just more my focus. Like again, it's not more about like what makes me feel better. It's about what like I owe to my fans.
Right. And see, for me, on my social media, I'm more active when we're traveling around because I'm still in that mode of share an event that you like that day. And when I'm traveling, I have so many new experiences that are my stories, and I don't put it in my regular feed, but I put it into my stories. My stories are full up of all these weird, quirky things that are going on all around us because this world that surrounds Comic-Cons is full of whimsy, wonder, joy, and strangeness.
We've talked about this before, but like how much personal stuff do you feed into your Instagram versus professional? You know, like do you ever worry that like I'm putting up too much of like me as a person and this doesn't have much to do with my actual
I don't think
work?
I do because my wife, and this is like as a compare contrast, I don't think that I'm sharing too much personally because when I read my wife's social media, and she has a very different relationship with her following and with the people that are there. She's very honest. She's shares all kinds of personal stuff, all kinds of internal dialogue, all kinds of stuff, and gets feedback from people who are doing the same thing. She's in a different field than I am. So I often feel like, I never share anything personal. Man, why is my heart so dead? If I read her, and I'm like, wow, there's a real person behind this. There's feelings, there's emotions, and but I know as the spouse of that person, there are times when that is also draining. It gives back, but it also takes away. So it's hard to know.
It is, and I'm just thinking about my own experience when my kids were younger. My ex now, but my wife at the time she did all the posting about the kids, like on her, and it was just Facebook. Really, it was just Facebook.
Family.
Facebook was more for like the personal contacts, not for people you didn't really know. So she would always post that and then tag me in it. So people who followed me would still see it, but I was never the person.
Right.
And now that we're split up, I'm feeling the pressure to post more with my kids and stuff than I have been, because I don't usually. I've done a handful. I was just looking through my feed. I've done a handful, but not a ton. My feed is full of more stuff that's not even me. Like when I do my horror movie challenge, there's a bunch of images of scary movies.
Right.
There's that kind of stuff, and people like that kind of stuff
Yeah.
in mine. But I don't post a ton of personal stuff on Facebook or Instagram. And I find mostly these days when I go through Facebook, I just feel depressed. I'm not loving Facebook. I don't know why it is. I'm like seeing stuff. I'm like, I don't know.
Because it's not, well, I can tell you why. Because you're not getting a dopamine.
I'm not getting a
response.
dopamine hit because I'm not posting there.
The absence of dopamine, it causes, I forget what the name of the chemical is now, but there's like a counterpoint, and it leads you down a road to depression.
Yeah.
Dear listener, do yourself a favor and YouTube Dopamine, Satan, and Stan South Park. You'll learn
I'm just gonna
everything
put the
you need
clips
to know.
in the show. That's what I'm gonna pull from South Park this week.
So what does that mean? I can get addicted to everything so I can't enjoy anything?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it means.
So our conversation started with, bad stuff is going on. You need to insulate yourself from it by doing the work. Sharing the work sometimes is a way that you can feel better about the thing that you're doing. If you have a complicated relationship with social media, find a group of peers. And peers are different than friends. I mean peers who are doing similar kind of work. Your friends should love and support you. They actually should be the ones that tell you it's good, even when it's not. Because your friends should trust that you, as a professional, will show your peers. So when you need love and support, unconditional, go to your friends and your family. When you need real feedback, you go to your peers. You, unfortunately, dear listener, will have to learn to know the difference between which part you
Do you do
want.
that often? Do you often like look at
Yes.
somebody's Instagram and be like, okay, what this guy is doing, I need to take a couple.
Yes. Oh, wait. Finish that sentence.
Like,
No,
do
I'm
you-
talking about not on social media.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm
talking about-
your real friends are more likely
yeah.
to feedback to you through text messages
Yeah.
or conversations.
Face to Facebook.
Not on
is-
social media.
Yeah.
They might give you a token like or two on social
Yeah.
media, but they're not going to be like, they'll tell you what they really think.
Yeah. And have a real conversation about like your drives, your needs, your wants from the work itself, and that you'll find the flood of positive brain chemicals to be overwhelming, even if the conversation is difficult, even if you're feeling like you're falling short, engaging with the work deeply before you're ready to share it widely, right? There's that, I think often of the Tyler Durden comment about single serving friends,
yeah.
right? How you meet people out in the convention life and you have these single servings of basic positivity with them, or you try to be polite or whatever. That's great. That is how you should behave, I think, out in the world. Bring some joy if you can. But you're not always in that place. And so you need a, secret council of people that you can show work to. And increasingly, I've been doing that more and more as I am more restricted by contracts and by my feelings of social media and my not wanting to share personal things, widely, because we see how negatively it affects people's careers years later, right? All of these kinds of things. I've gone more and more into an inner circle of people. And, I guess the hard part is if you feel like you don't have that, that can be why you go to social media in the first place. It's to try and find those people.
Yep.
And I don't know what the middle ground is, or if there is one. Please suggest one, dear listener, if you know of a great way to connect honestly with people that isn't always a sell-through. I would love to know what that site is so that I could go.
Maybe that's the next one that needs to happen. That's the next website, the next social media platform, somewhere where we can genuinely connect with people.
Isn't that like a coffee shop?
It is.
Right? Isn't that just what the real world is?
Love
It's like the elevator.
It's like the sign over at Parlor Coffee that says, no Wi-Fi, talk to your neighbor.
Yeah.
It's like,
and I got into the elevator to come up here today, and someone held the elevator for me, right? Someone else was coming, and we have this elevator that eats people,
That's
ladies
horrible.
and gentlemen. It just, without warning, the door will just slam on you, and that little thing that's supposed to prevent it from slamming on you basically doesn't work. So it'll slam you all the way to the wall and then trigger that it should open. So it's like a big angry shove if you get caught in the door. So I preface this because someone sees me coming to the elevator, holds the button so that I can go. I see someone else hustling. They're running for the elevator. So I tell the person inside someone else is coming. And she's like, oh, I can hear him, right? Because you can hear the pitter-patter of feet. And all three of us pile into the elevator, and we have this funny little moment where we were all nervous because now we weren't going to do the elevator ignore. We had all had...
You already interacted.
We had a real interaction as human beings, all working together, and there was this nervous moment where she says, because our elevator, the way it is also, is once you're crowded into it, the person standing beside the buttons basically pushes it for everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what floor? Tell her our floor. That's the floor she's going to. That's the floor he's going to. So now it's like, well, we have no choice but to interact as human beings for the whole elevator ride. So we start talking about the...
Bombers.
No, thank God. That would have been it for me. I would have been the
weather?
The weather,
Oh, okay.
right? And as soon as it goes as quick, I felt this circuit. We're quickly going to talk about the weather. I didn't want to. The first person didn't want to. The second person knew that was stupid. I was like, wrapped it up. And then I was like, what do you guys have going on in your day today? Right?
Well, that must have gone on for a
we're
loop.
only at like halfway in the elevator ride now, right? So it's like close. They're all judging the time of like, what should we talk about that's going to be to the edge of the elevator door, right? Oh, big project I'm working on. Hope it's good. Hope I can do my part. This other person is like, big project going on. I'm just going to try to avoid it in the office. And I was like, okay, well, have a good day. And they all go off to their separate things. And I came here, and we're going to come to the podcast today. I'm walking, and I'm like, I don't know how I have a way to segue that into our podcast conversation, but that's the kind of interaction I wish social media felt more like. When I first started on Twitter, that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
People holding the doors for each other, people having nervous conversations, wondering, do we have anything in common, doing a little bit of small talk, then maybe something real, and then, you know what, ride's over, I'm out of here. Until they got onto another elevator.
Single-serving friends. It
right?
really is single-serving friends, yeah.
But by the same token, I have some people now who I still talk with regularly, communicate with regularly, that I have never met in person, that I talk to as a result of social media. So there is this benefit to that finding people in that inner circle. But I don't know if there's a formula that we can give as proper advice. So we're just going to leave you today with mystery, wonder, and the work. This has been Super Pulp Science, where we encourage you to keep making things, join the fight, and make comics.